Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the ABA Coffee in the Park podcast. My name is Cam Milliken, and I am here with the extraordinary Jennifer Herrick, the Executive Director of the Atchison Business Association. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Cam. How are you this morning?
Oh, if I was any better, I am doing fantastic. Fall is in the air. It's a beautiful day, and I'm very excited.
Well, it is a little chilly out there this morning.
It is a tad bit chilly. Winter's coming, but you know what? This is kind of a cool kind of year. Get it? Cool kind of year anyway. Bad joke. But anyways, hey, we are coming to you from the Wall Coffee Roasters in the heart of beautiful downtown Atchison. That's right. So if you hear some noise in the background, maybe some people talking or some espresso machines expressing or whatever they do, I'm not really sure what they do. Hey, it's because we're doing this live right in the Wall Coffee Shop.
That's right.
In beautiful downtown Atchison.
Speaking of beautiful downtown Atchison, Cam, we have some exciting news to share about something we launched at our gala this past weekend.
That's right. Go ahead, Jennifer.
We have merch.
Merch, that's right. We have t-shirts, we have mugs. It's amazing. And you know what? We sold a bunch of it at the gala.
We did. And the exciting news is that soon you will be able to buy your own beautiful downtown Atchison t-shirt or ABA Coffee in the Park mug on our website.
That's right. So, hey, watch out for that. www.atchisonbusiness.com. And we'll get that all set up so you can buy a t-shirt, you can buy a mug. We'll even sign it for you if you want. That'd be fantastic. You can sell it in 25 years on eBay. Is there eBay? Is there still eBay?
Does anybody use eBay?
I don't think there's eBay. It's like this Facebook marketplace thing. I never use it. But anyway, I was also going to say, hey, listen, you know what? If you hear us talk about beautiful downtown Atchison, and people should come visit. So, you know, throw the kids, throw the dog in the station wagon, come on out to beautiful downtown Atchison. There really isn't much to downtown Atchison other than the Wall Coffee Roasters. That's right. And some of the best coffee you'll ever have. So, hey, we just throw that one out there for free. Jennifer, tell us about some people that help us make this happen.
We would like to thank our gold corporate sponsors, which include the MyShot Group of Companies, Genix, and Parkland County. We could not do what we do at the ABA without these businesses and wanted to thank them sincerely for their continued support.
That's right. And thank you very much that we get to do this every week. Thank you, everybody, for listening. All around the world, people are listening to us, and that's phenomenal. And so we're very excited about that. And I am super excited about our guest today. I really am. I mean, I didn't sleep last night. Well, actually, it was because of the pizza I ate the night before. But nonetheless, I didn't sleep last night, so I'm very excited. Jennifer, introduce our guest.
Well, our guest today, this is a bit of a reversal of roles because our guest today was in media doing what we're doing now for many years.
That's right. He's the pro.
He's the pro.
With the amateurs.
Here we go.
And it's kind of cool that he'd take the time to do this. Introduce our guest.
Right. So our guest today is Mr. Daryl McIntyre. Currently retired, however...
Currently? You make it sound like that's about to change.
No, maybe Daryl.
Maybe. One never knows.
We
could always use a third on the podcast. It'd be awesome.
Right. So most of our listeners would know Daryl most recently before he retired as the host on 6:30 Ched. You were the morning host.
Yep.
And on CTV, and before CTV it was?
It was CKPG in Prince George, and before that it was CKSA in Lloydminster.
Okay.
All right.
But you could also say that before CTV, it was CFRN.
CFRN. For anybody who remembers CFRN, Popcorn Playhouse, one of my favorite shows when I was
Kitties on Camera.
That's right, Kitties on Camera.
I was on the bar.
I was on Popcorn Playhouse. I remember. It was awesome. And I don't remember it, but I was on there. It was really incredible.
Well, I'm from Saskatchewan. I have no clue what you're talking about.
You don't even know what CFRN is,
but
yeah.
That's all right. That's all right.
It's cool. Well, welcome, Daryl. It's good to have you.
Oh, great to be here. Nice to see you guys again.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought it would be once a year maybe, and that's it. But no, I'm getting my my influx of Cam and Jennifer twice in 1 week.
That's right.
We should make it more often. Yeah, we should work on that. So
That's great to be here. It's kind of funny, and I want to say thank you because I'm really enjoying this. Since I'm retired, I'm not speaking every day like I was when I was doing the radio show. And so doing the gala on Saturday night, my voice the next day was just...
Listen, do you need a cough drop? No, seriously, I'm not even kidding.
Cam has them in his pocket regularly.
Here you go. If you need one of those, there you go.
You can keep your Linty pocket mint.
The wrapper's still on him now. It's all right. I didn't take it off.
It's great. I can walk around and go, you'll never find. And it just drops down.
I know. We experience now doing this. We experiencing the same thing. This is our second podcast this week.
That's right.
We're not used to that vocal strain. But anyway, so we understand what you're talking about. So anyway, welcome. Good to have you.
Great to be here.
So we're going to kick it off. And Daryl, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up?
I sort of counted Edmonton and Vermilion as both my hometowns. So I grew up in the early part of my life in Edmonton, and then ended up growing up. My mom married a farmer north of Vermilion. We moved out there. So from pretty much grade 5 on, Vermilion was home. So it's like a tale of two cities.
Right.
I can consider both to be home. And then I went to NAIT in Edmonton. My grandmother's been here. I've lived here, or I had lived here, since '86.
Right.
Officially on,
So you're an Edmontonian.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
with
cool.
Vermilion roots.
Yeah.
With red roots. Vermilion
on.
That's
roots.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vermilion, great place. Yeah, it's an awesome place.
I always remember there was, back in the day, there would be little things that come on TV, and it was community announcements. And a guy, I think his name was Byron Moore, would come on. It was just a slide, and the town always went with a red hat as its signature.
Right.
Vermilion color red.
Yeah.
And it was the Red Hat Town on the Yellowhead Route.
Right on. Yeah, awesome. And so tell us a little bit. Vermilion, Edmonton, and tell us about your little foray into how you
media.
How you got?
Okay.
Did you want to do that since you were like 6? Or
I think so. You
Really?
mentioned Popcorn Playhouse. Well,
Yeah.
I watched TV like so many of us is growing up basically in the 70s. I was born in 63, so going into the late 60s and through 70s, I watched TV all the time. I always thought newscasters were the smartest people in the world because they always knew exactly when it was daylight saving time and when it was not.
And they knew what was going on.
How do they know?
How do they know
How do
this?
they know? Exactly.
No, I liked. I was always had an affinity for English, for social studies and current events, and also for drama. So there was that just seemed writing,
okay.
Understanding,
Yeah.
and performing all at the same time.
Right.
It's basically what you end up doing in news.
Yeah.
Sure, you're not acting, but you are performing and you are making that role.
Right.
But you better bloody well know what you're saying and how to say it.
Yeah,
So-
fake news ain't so good nowadays.
We can go
but,
diving down that road.
yeah,
if you
that's
want
right,
to,
yeah.
down
But
the
anyway,
road.
so
basically in high school there was a girl just a grade ahead of me, Adele Yakinchuk, and she got into a course called Radio and Television Arts at NAIT, which I had no idea even existed.
Yeah, yeah.
So once she basically opened the door and said, "Oh, this exists," I went, "Okay, I'd love to do that." So that's what I did. Went to NAIT and then got a job in Lloydminster, and then I got a job in Prince George, and then I got a job in Edmonton.
were those radio or TV jobs? Both.
Okay.
Yeah, all
Okay.
of them were multiples.
Yeah.
So CKSA Radio and Television and CITL Television, because they had two. They were both a CBC and CTV affiliate.
Really?
Small one town.
Okay.
Right?
Wow.
So they
Yeah,
could
yeah.
actually do both out of that.
What a man! That's a coup, eh?
Yeah.
CTV and
Yep.
and CBC
And a radio station.
Right, the right and the anyway. We won't get into that either. That's kind of interesting in itself, right there.
Well,
but-
this was early '80s.
Yeah.
right. So everybody was right.
Everybody was correct.
That's right. Well, that's pretty awesome. So, radio. Were you the daytime guy, the nighttime guy, the anytime guy?
I ended up doing late night when I was in Lloydminster, and then I would do afternoon drive radio news. So I'd do the newscast in the afternoon.
Afternoon drive in Lloyd.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
rush
then
hour.
same in Prince George. I would do some newscasts on the radio, but I was primarily the supper time anchor in Prince George.
Okay.
And
Wow.
then I came to Edmonton. I did weekends, did a little bit of radio because CFRN had CFRN radio.
Yeah.
So I did a little bit of that, but mostly my first job in Edmonton was my 23rd birthday present. I got the job on October 27th, 1986, and I turned 23 years old 2 days later.
Really?
So,
Wow.
Fantastic.
And I was doing weekends, so
Yeah.
I worked weekends and I was a reporter during the week.
Fantastic.
And then in 1989, I was 25 years old, and a guy by the name of Bob Chelmick was co-anchoring with Daphne Kuhn.
Yeah.
And he moved
Yeah.
to CBC, and I slid into his desk, and I never left for 33 years.
Fantastic.
33
Yeah,
years.
you were there a long time.
You were a staple.
I'm just going to tell you, at the we were at the gala, and you did a fantastic job at the
Thank
gala.
you.
And my 93-year-old mother was there,
Yeah.
and she was all excited when she saw you. And she goes, "I know him from TV." And I said, "Yes, you do, Mom, because you watch the news religiously." And she was so excited that the news TV guy was there. That was
Very
really
nice.
exciting
That's
to
very
her.
nice.
So it was kind of cool. So the early years at CFRN, CTV, tell us about that. Like,
Well,
what was
I
that?
have a picture. You mentioned Popcorn Playhouse.
Yeah.
And you're not familiar with it, but anytime you have a kid show after school, that's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
And if
Oh,
you get
yeah.
to be on it at some point, I
Yeah.
mean, that's pretty cool. But the host was Eric Neville.
Yes, that's
Well,
right.
When
Eric
I,
Neville.
When I started doing the 6 o'clock news, I was doing it with Eric Neville. And,
Okay.
And Al McCann.
Al McCann.
And Daphne Kuhn,
Yes.
right? So I have a picture, and I can show it to you. It's kind of hard to show on a podcast.
Yeah.
Of us in 1989 with the four of us. So there's this 25-year-old baby. Two grizzled vets, and then Daphne was.
Man,
not a
this
grizzled vet.
is walking back for me. This is walking down memory lane
long
because
time.
I grew up. I watched all that. I saw all that. CFRN was huge. I mean, in those days, it was just huge.
Here's another really cool example. You mentioned your mom. So my grandmother, when she found out I was going to work at CFRN, she thought I had made.
Yeah,
You'd made it.
Made it
Yeah.
the big time.
Yeah.
Because as far as she was concerned, that was TV. It didn't matter who was on the TV.
Yeah.
They were all equal stars. So
Yeah.
Gaby Hawes was just as big as Ed Sullivan.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was no differentiation for
No,
the two of them.
and if I remember correctly, back in those days, there wasn't cable yet, or it was just coming in. I
yeah,
guess
you
cable
get
was
the
just coming in.
Spokane.
Yeah, that's right. So CFRN was the one that came in the clearest.
Yeah.
So you were always watching CFRN. That was the station.
And ITV didn't sign on.
No,
they're
yeah,
just
no.
hitting
It
their
was
50 years,
later,
I think
right?
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, ITV came
Is it
later.
50? Yeah, 50 years.
Yeah. Then
So
those,
they were
those
70,
guys, all Greg
74.
Musselman and all those guys came
but
along.
74,
and,
right?
That's
Initially
right.
was when they came on.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. CFRN, wow. And is it normal for an anchorman to stay at one station that long? I mean,
It can, yeah.
Yeah?
It can. Once you get into that position, it's a pretty good spot. And
Yeah.
there were lots of places all across the country where there were denizens of that particular market. Darryl Jans in Calgary.
Right.
Oh,
was
yes,
at,
Darryl, yeah.
CFCN, CTV.
Yeah.
He was there 40 years,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So I think he was about 76 and then continued on forever. So he was there for a long time. Tony
Yeah.
Parsons was in Vancouver
Wow,
and BC.
Tony was there forever,
There's
yeah.
a guy named Tom Gibney in Toronto who
yeah.
was there forever.
Yeah.
Steve Murphy in Halifax
Right.
was there forever.
Yeah.
And I will say it tended to be the men who lasted the longest.
Yes.
And there's
Yeah.
there's reasons for that, and it was some things were unfair
Right.
in a lot of ways. But
well, it's funny you say
the
Tony
men stuck
Parsons.
around.
I lived in Vancouver for 30 years, and when Tony retired,
Yeah, that was a
everybody
big deal.
thought the world was ending. Like, I'm not kidding you. Like, people were like, now who are we going to watch?
It was their
on
Walter
TV?
Cronkite.
Yeah,
or whatever.
exactly.
Because
And
that's
he
who they
was
connected.
good, and he was professional, and he was amazing. And honestly, I remember the day he said he was leaving. Everybody thought the world was ending in Vancouver. We were all in mourning. But so obviously, you guys have made your mark, and you've staked your claim, and you've made your place, and that's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Yeah.
You'll never see that again.
No, I don't think
No,
so.
I don't think you will.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can't.
that's really cool.
Because the whole media landscape
Has
is
totally
entirely
changed.
different now.
It is, yeah.
So tell us about that. How has it changed?
Tell us about that.
Talk about that.
How long is this?
Yeah,
podcast?
no, yeah. Well, and we can edit. We can do whatever. We can edit it down. But what's changed?
I was talking
Like-
to a friend of mine earlier this week when I was doing some visiting, and I was thrilled. Even if I'd started about 10 years earlier than I did,
Yeah.
then I could have said I lived through the golden years of broadcast journalism, television.
Yeah.
As it was, the last 10 years, yeah, you started to see a slip. What has changed? It's social media, digital media, the expansion of other forms of media. It used to be if you wanted to know what was going on, you had to wait till 6 o'clock, turn on the news, and
Absolutely.
find out.
Exactly.
Now it's all over and it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And really, at about 2008, when the iPhone, 2007 when the iPhone came out, and then Facebook came out, and then Twitter, and then it just slowly started to it didn't become appointment television anymore.
Right. Yeah.
And advertising revenue started to drop. What happens when advertising revenues
Right.
and it comes in? They find a way to try to consolidate, or you get larger companies buying up the smaller companies that
Right.
can't
Yes.
compete anymore. So you have consolidation. At the end of the day, you have 3 players, I understand you've got to pay your shareholders,
yeah.
but if you keep diluting the product, it becomes less than
Right.
what it was, and
Right.
so it becomes a self-fulfilling doom prophecy.
Right, yeah.
I think so. That's what's changed, and eyeballs are everywhere. Right?
Yes.
Yes.
That is not the truth.
And everybody's got a voice.
Everybody's got a
Yes.
voice.
And sometimes that's good.
Everybody's got a
Sometimes that's not good.
podcast.
Sometimes that's
Daryl,
not
everybody
good.
has a podcast. There are
many
5 million
podcasts?
podcasts.
That's right.
That's right.
It doesn't matter, but who's going to listen?
That's right.
And so you have to find
Exactly.
an audience and away you go. So it worries me in some ways because now what is truth? Well, this is truth from this person's point of view.
Yeah.
It's truth from this
Right.
person's. Is there a one truth?
Yeah,
That's right.
So and we don't want to go back into it, but the whole fake news, the whole what's real, what's not real, all of that kind of stuff.
And that plays off people's lots of things. So there's lots of sort of paranoia, fear, and suspicion that goes into that.
Yeah.
If you disagree with it, you instantly decide, oh, that's fake news.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it becomes messy. It's going to be really interesting, I'd say, over the next 5 years, what
Yeah,
this looks like.
I agree.
And there is concern for me as far as democracy and how our society functions
Sure.
if we're not all sort of looking in the same direction, if everybody's going all over
Yeah.
the place. then sometimes.
Oh, and that's a great point. I think that in itself would be an hour-long podcast right there, because it really would.
Yeah.
And I think your concerns are for sure real.
There's a funny cartoon, so I'll do one more thing where funny, poignant cartoon where two people standing there, one with a bullhorn says, "You have made a very valid point, but I'm louder."
Yeah, that's right.
it.
That's it, isn't it? That's right.
That is our world
The loudest
today.
wins, yeah, for sure.
Sometimes.
I know. So, Daryl, I know you've had so many moments over the years. Share with us maybe some of your favorite moments.
See, this is always a weird question
I
to
know.
answer. Why? Because in news, when something big happens, it tends to be not
the
good.
best news.
Yeah.
It's not the
Yeah.
best news, right? So, but from our point of view, that's when, feet hit the road, everything jumps in, and that's where you really do your job. You show what your chops are. So for me, it's always been around the major unfortunate stories, everything from the tornado in Edmonton to the different fires and that kind of thing. So when that happens and you mobilize and you try to make sure that everybody's informed, and you go, you'd work 13, 16, 20-hour days, if whatever was necessary to get it done. So those ones always come to mind. But then there's fun things where I got to go and follow the orders in 2006 to Raleigh as a news person. So I was doing side news stories because there were so many people from Oilers fans driving to North Carolina.
That's right, yeah.
In buses. It was so, and we're doing live stuff outside. And then at night during the games, I would help out our sports guy, Adam. So he would cover the Oilers, as he should, and I basically covered the Hurricanes.
Yeah.
So on when they won the Stanley Cup, I would have rather been with the Oilers.
Sure.
But I was in the winning room. There was champagne flying everywhere, and all those Edmonton connections to that team. Everything from Doug Waite to to Mike Commodore, Cam
forgot
Ward.
about that.
Oh yeah,
There were,
I remember that was big deal. That was big times.
Ray Whitney's dad.
Yes, that's right.
Ray Whitney. So there were so many people that were involved there. So.
Yeah, I know.
So those are the things. It's always routine. It's fine, and you go and you do your job, and you every day. But it's those little spikes either of excitement or enthusiasm that are really cool.
Who's the most interesting person you ever met?
Cam Milligan.
We've known each other 47 minutes.
Oh, jeez, I have no idea. How do you pick somebody?
I know, because that's why you probably met. I'm just wondering, is there one person that sticks out? This was best interview I ever did, best story I ever did, best.
Okay, I'll tell you one. This was one that was the most fun. So. I was doing a noon show because I was doing noon and 6 o'clock at CFRN. And Jean Chrétien was in town, the Prime Minister, and he was going to come on the noon show. Pretty big deal to have
on the noon show
live on the noon show.
Yeah.
And he was going to come in at about 12:45. So we'd set aside 2 segments because you're still commercials, etc. And we promoted it throughout the hour, and then he didn't get there, and he was late, and it was running late, and so we're now filling time like crazy. By the time he got in, it was about 5 to 1. Well, we're off the air at 1 o'clock.
Right, yeah.
But we made the decision to extend a little bit. Well, I don't know whether I had a bit of ego or what it was or a sense of self-importance, but I was pissed off.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, Mr. Prime Minister, how
That's
dare
right.
you not show up for
That's
the noon
right.
show on
Right.
CFRN?
No, yeah.
So I think I was maybe a little more aggressive in that interview than I would have been ordinarily. And I was told by one of the stagehands that as Mr. Chrétien was leaving, he was going, "Geez, that guy was pretty intense, huh?"
That is a great story. That is a great story.
But John Chrétien, what a great character!
Yeah.
So to have a chance to sit down and
wasn't
have a
he?
chat with him.
Yeah.
I
No
did interview
matter
him.
where your political views lie,
The little guy from Shawinigan was
no
fascinating,
kidding, eh?
right?
Wasn't he though? And he was a fighter,
Oh,
and he was amazing. Like he just never
So,
gave
yeah,
up.
there's a lot of the politicians. So Brian Mulroney, we talked to him as well. But who really jumps out and stands out? I can't say that any one person does. There are little moments with all of them.
Sure. Yeah.
I think anyway.
Yeah. What was your favorite event to cover in Edmonton?
Actual event to cover. Ooh, see, that's a good one too. I used to actually. It's interesting that CFR is back. I used to always love
rodeo.
doing.
Yep.
And
This week?
I rode my horse in with the first River City Roundup.
Oh, okay.
I was able to be part of that, and I rode my horse Big Jake down the streets of Edmonton doing that. And the parade, I had him in the parade once.
Yep.
So those things were always fun. Other events, like any of the cultural ones, were always just a hoot. There were world championships, like the figure skating world championship was in the mid-'90s, and that was here, and that had Elvis Stoiko and all those great names back in the day. And we would do live shows from in the Coliseum on the concourse. That was cool. We did a thing at Klondike Days, at K-Days, called So You Want to Be on TV. And we would have, we had a whole set down there, and then people would come in and read these fake news.
That's right. I remember that. I mean, Klondike Days is going way back. Most people don't. Well, the younger generation, it's K-Days. But I totally remember that. That's right. So I remember that. That's oh man.
We did that even.
This is a walk down memory lane for me. I'm just having a bit of a brain thing going on here.
That's what happens when you sit down and talk to old retired guys. Oh, tell me your story.
Tell me your story. It all began.
That was cool, and there were people who had done that, say, 30 years ago. Why they still had the VHS tape that they would get afterward, or still have copies of that. And so little kids that have now grown up and they have their own children going, hey, I did the news with you way back when. That's pretty. Those were the kind of things that I really liked, where you got out of the studio and you got out and you got to see people and hang out with people. So that was pretty neat.
Were you ever tempted to? Did the lights seem brighter somewhere else?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I looked around, and I don't know whether I tried hard enough or didn't have enough confidence, or I had, not quite golden, but pretty darn nice handcuffs on already. I was lucky to get that 6 o'clock job at the age of 25, and I think that took some of the fire out to go and try and find something else.
Right.
There was another girl who was working at the station about the same time. Her name was Holly Doan, and thought that she was going to take over for maybe Daphne at some point. But she recognized that she needed to go and be a reporter and work on some of those journalistic chops elsewhere. So she went on and did quite well. I stayed, but I sent some resumes down, but I didn't. I don't know. I didn't fit. in U.S. style kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And by that point, then also I was a 6 o'clock anchor in Edmonton. If I wanted to go to Toronto, well, I'm going to be hitting the reporter ranks, or I'm going to be doing late nights on weekends or something like that. I didn't want to do that.
I want to start all over.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and
maybe I would have had a shot, but maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I was just in the place I needed to be.
Well, and I'm glad. I'm glad you stayed. I'm glad for Edmonton's sake you stayed, and people really respect you. Like, they really do.
They don't know me.
Well, but that's where sort of I was leading with this. Is like,
I was being
not that they don't respect you, but they see you every night.
Yes,
you bring news. They look to you as an authority figure, and you're. For a lot of people, that's really important that you're constant.
And they didn't want to hear my opinion. During those,
sure.
I would get people who would go, "Oh, you raised an eyebrow at that one. I know what you were thinking." Well, I think you know what I was thinking, but But and that's really nice. But that's something you build and you protect.
Sure.
And you protect that jealously. That you protect that integrity and doing the job as best you can.
Sure. If you wanted opinion, you'd listen to CJCA and Bill. That's what you listen to.
Let them go and
whatever. Let them go.
But if you're just telling the news. There's always some opinion. Everything. If you write something, there's an angle to it. There's a slant. It's how you start. The first words, the first line you write means you're coming at it from a certain point of view.
Right.
I guess. Right.
Yeah.
You do we always did our very best.
Sure.
And there's still lots of people say, "I don't believe it." You guys were just manipulating. You were just manipulating.
I love that.
It's like, oh my god, I didn't have time to manipulate.
That's right.
Trying to get the job done. So
Daryl, you ended your long 30-year career at CTV. Why radio? Why did you decide to go to 630 Chet?
It was, and keep in mind, it wasn't my choice to leave CTV, right? That was
the whole, as we talk about,
cash thing kind of thing. But whatever, here's a check, get out. So that was okay. But I had taken an auctioneering course. I thought, well, now I'm going to go into either public speaking or just more emceeing and auctioneering and all that kind of stuff. And then COVID hit. So that was 2019 when I got let go. COVID hit in March.
Yeah.
So by the time I got my auctioneering certificate, so that whole idea went out the window. And then the job came up at 630 Chet. And I went, well, you know what? I had even talked to Chet years earlier about maybe going in that direction. But I stayed in TV instead. So it was just ended up being a natural progression.
Okay.
And hell, I grew up with 630 Chet, so the fact that
if you lived in Edmonton,
absolutely,
and you were any kind of, as soon as you hit your teen years, you were into 630 Chet.
Absolutely,
that was the station, without a doubt. Yeah,
and obviously it's different than the rock and roll station.
For sure.
Just still on.
But
this,
no, that was the station to listen to for sure. So
and then I got to do it differently. Right? I got to broadcast differently.
Right,
and opinion could come out, and conversation and chatting. So
sure.
I thought that was just a great way to sort of wrap up of the career. Just doing it that.
So the auctioneering thing that intrigues me.
No, it doesn't.
Give us a little bit.
No,
auction off a coffee in the park mug right now.
Dance for grandma.
No,
or grandpa.
Come on. I'll do it if you do it.
Yeah, well, yeah. But you can say that about everything. You know what? I have a certain rhythm, but it's to me, it's about knowing what you were doing, and there is a little bit of that patter.
There,
but
yeah.
You're not going to hear me like I'm at the cattle auction or an estate auction or
me
a Ritchie
neither.
Brothers auction.
So I'm a bid
it's
caller.
Just different.
That's what I am. I'm a bid caller. That's what I do. I call the bids. So
basically calling bids.
Yeah.
You get a little bit of a patter going through that, but I'm not going to do it.
Do you do it? Do you ever?
I do lots of events. There's lots of charity events that I do. There are auctions. I did one in the summer. And I think the live auction itself brought in $80,000.
Wow,
so we
fantastic!
Did okay.
Yeah,
that was a Cure Cancer Foundation and Alberta Cancer Foundation Day of Golf.
It's a good auction year.
Day of golf. Yep.
$80,000 is a good day.
Yeah, it's a very good day.
It's fantastic.
So no, I'm not dancing with grandma.
Come on, man! Like, God, I love. Anyway, well, one day we'll bring you back and you'll do it.
That's part of the deal too. If you want to see it, you got to buy a ticket to wherever I'm at.
Listen, I'd buy the ticket. So whatever money you take, I'll put it on the table right now. I gave you a cough candy, man. Come on, what do you need? Anyway,
and you guys bought me a coffee.
And I bought you a coffee.
By the way, I love.
And is that not the?
I'm not even just blowing smoke up anybody's dress. This is a cool building, and what has been done with it, it's a cool vibe. I could hang out in here for the day. This is very neat.
Michael's done
an amazing job.
If you would have seen this before, like I said, my office.
1970s building.
Yeah, my office was in the corner there, where the plants are in the middle, and so this is why, folks, you got to come see it. There used to be a big atrium there with a little pool in there and a turtle. Okay. We had a turtle. That's a story, but that's for another podcast. But anyway, and then Michael spent a year renovating it and put the roasters in. And so it's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's very cool.
It's a great place to hang out in Atchison, or not, or from anywhere really. Come and hang out. It's really cool.
No, I like it.
So, Daryl, this has been fantastic, and we could probably sit here for hours and,
are we done already?
Share stories.
We're getting there.
Almost.
What the heck?
I know.
We're on the home
Can you believe
stretch.
it? It flies.
There's tons of stories. You don't spend 40 years somewhere and not have a whole bunch
Sorry,
of stories.
Man.
I'll fly back now. So I have moved now to Vancouver Island.
Right.
I moved to Comox Valley.
Beautiful Comox.
Beautiful. And then some people go, well, do you not like Alberta? I went, no, I love Alberta.
Yeah.
And I still love Alberta. But I've lived here for 58 of my 60 years.
Right.
58 and a half. Yeah. Because the only time I wasn't was when I was working in Prince George.
Yeah.
Other than that, I've been here. It's not about going away. It's about trying to find something different. I just want to retire and live life a little differently.
Well, and you picked a great spot.
You did.
Comox is beautiful.
And
beautiful.
I can always come home.
That's right.
Yeah.
You visit anytime.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, it's in the air. It's an hour 15 on a direct flight.
Yeah. It's a really quick flight.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. It is. It is.
No, it's right next door. It's awesome.
We have one final question for you, Daryl, and this is something we ask all of our guests. What is the best piece of advice you've been given, either personally or professionally, that you carry with you to this day?
Best piece of advice I ever got, and I don't remember who it came from, but maybe it just worked from a whole bunch of different people. But it's, if you're doing something, you focus on the job, not on yourself. And if you focus on the job, then everything else will fall into line.
Right.
Do your job first, everything else will fall into line. Especially in broadcasting, there's lots of people who went into it because they wanted to be on TV. Or they went, hi, I want to be on the radio. Now, focus on the job, do the job really well, and all that personal success will come along with it. And then the other one was a quote from the series of books, Dune, the movies came out.
Oh, yes,
And there's a little line in there, and I don't remember all of it. It's called The Litany of Fear, and it says that fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that takes away your logic, in essence. So I always wrapped onto that one. Do the job first, and don't let fear get in the way.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Yeah. That is great advice. That is fantastic advice. I mean, no matter what you're doing in life, where you're at, that's fantastic advice. It's great. So.
Good.
Well, Daryl, this has been our absolute pleasure having you. So thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
For coming on out to beautiful downtown Atchison to do this
podcast. Next year?
podcast.
Can you book me for next year?
Done.
All right.
Yeah, no, this is fantastic. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Man, and again, like Jennifer said, we could probably go on for hours, and maybe one day we will. We'll just sit here and go on for hours.
Well, I'm building a little studio upstairs in the house. So if you want, I can pop on and we can
love it.
Yeah, we'll do it up there. That'd be fantastic. Or we could come to Comox. No, I'm just I love the island, so it's fantastic.
We got a couch in a spare room.
Roadshow.
Right. Well, Jennifer, another great one.
It sure was.
It's on the books. I can hardly wait to drop this one. It's going to be exciting.
It is.
Anything you want to tell us?
Well, we just, again, want to thank all of our listeners. We really appreciate your support, and we hope that you continue to share this podcast as we share the story behind the story.
That's right. Make sure you tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell everybody about ABA Coffee in the Park podcast. And once again, wherever you get your podcasts or www.atchisonbusiness.com, you can download it off there as well. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for listening to us, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks, everyone.